Your house is staged, it's beautiful, it's got tons of views online, people are showing up regularly and they want to see it, but how do you take that interest and turn it into an offer so you can move on with as much cash in your pocket as possible? Well, that's what we're going to talk about in this video, and I'm going to start right now. Hey guys, Hans Struzyna with the Gunderman Group at Keller Williams Luxury International coming to you with another video. Today we are talking about part 2 of my negotiation series focused on sellers. If you missed part 1 for the buyer side, I'm going to link to it right up here so you can go check that out here in a second. But this time we're talking to sellers, and specifically some questions you should be asking your agent to make sure that you're maximizing your moment when you set your offer date. If you get value out of this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel because I am going to continue to put out weekly content just like this, and you're not going to want to miss it. So thanks in advance for that. And without any further ado, let's talk about some negotiating. So what's typical here in the East Bay is that you have an offer date. That's usually 1, 2, sometimes 3 weeks after the house goes on the market officially, and it's got enough time for people to see it online, see it in person, read the disclosures, etc. But what that really means is that you have one day, oftentimes an afternoon, or possibly sometimes just less than a couple hours to really maximize your sale. And so this is the moment that really it all boils down to and is going to make the difference between you netting out a lot versus maybe not even hitting your goal. So there's a couple things you absolutely must be aware of when talking to your agent ahead of time to prepare you for success in this moment. Now I'm going to caveat this for just a moment because it is very nuanced and it's hard to predict what you're going to do in a given negotiation ahead of time because there's so many inputs. You could get a lot of offers, you could get very little, you could get a lot of verbals, you could get anything in between, and they're all going to require a different set of responses and reactions. So just know that. However, there are a couple things that you're going to want to know, and we're going to go over that now. So the first thing is specifically who the agents are that are very interested. Who's showing up more than once? Who's looking at the disclosure packet multiple times, asking certain questions, etc., etc. What is that relationship between your listing agent and that buyer's agent? That will help an awful lot because it tells you a few things. Number one, what the type of offer that person writes a lot. Do they represent a lot of first-time home buyers who are very often hesitant to really push the price or remove a contingency? Do they often overpay? Do they advise their clients to go really high and they end up setting a lot of price records as a result? That's the kind of thing that you're going to want to know because that will give you some leverage on how to respond once the offers are in place. Next, you're going to want to know the nuanced parts of the transaction, not just the price and the timeline of closing, but things like how long are the contingencies going to take to remove, or if they're all removed, did they remove the loophole of 14b5, for example? When do they want possession? Are there any little items that they included or excluded in the sale, like drapes, chandeliers, etc., that could come down to really tense negotiations and could honestly blow up your sale if you're not careful and on top of it. Now that you have offers in hand, you're going to want to make sure you understand how your agent plans to communicate with everybody once you're in the negotiation officially. Some agents, for example, only do talk to the top 1 or 2 offers. They often don't pick up the phone and try and bring the 3rd, 4th, 5th place offer up a little bit to see if there's some bottom pressure they can create. Honestly, that could be a good strategy depending on the situation. If you have an all cash buyer at or above your price, you may just want to move forward with them and not mess around. That also may leave money on the table, so you want to be really aware of that one. If you have offers, for example, that are all lower than expected, but they're clustered around something, maybe it makes sense to come in from the bottom and start communicating with those people individually, kind of climbing up the ladder to start pushing and pushing and pushing, because somebody down there may have just been holding back to wait and see, and they're ready to make a $50,000 jump. So I've seen it a lot. You want to make sure that you get that opportunity to unlock that extra equity in your house, so make sure you figure that one out. And then also when it comes to countering, this is really, really critical. There are a couple ways to counter. You can technically counter verbally, although it has a little bit less meat, and a lot of times buyers get a little spooked by it and are like, wait, they're not going to put it in writing? What do you mean? But if you do counter them in writing and then they reject your counter, that offer is evaporated. So there's a reason for that as opposed to putting it in writing. You could roll the dice and put it in writing. It makes it a little more official, but there's a little risk that they could just say, no, I'm good, and their offer evaporates and is gone. So there is danger there as well. But depending on who you're dealing with on the other side of the negotiation, that could be actually the best way to move forward and get you the best outcome. So you're just going to want to make sure you have those conversations up front. Make sure your agent is giving you the information you need so that you can hopefully make the best decision. Because at the end of the day, the thing that is most important here is that these offers are your offers, not your agents. They're on your house, not your agents, and you are the final person who gets to say what is or is not done, but you need to make sure you get all the information and have a high-level conversation. So hopefully that gives you a little bit to go off of and gives you a little bit more to hopefully maximize your sale here going forward. That's it. That is the video today for negotiation on the seller's side. Guys, I hope you really got some value out of that. If you did, give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, because I am going to continue to put out weekly content just like this. And next week we will be back with part 3 of my negotiation series. Don't forget that I did part 1 on the buyer's side. This is part 2 of the seller's side. And then we're going to have some general interesting negotiation tactics next week. So tune in for that. So until then, this is Hans Struzyna with the Gunderman Group at Keller Williams Luxury International, signing off for now. See you on the next one.